Seattle Mariners trade deadline outlook. This is Ryan Finkelstein, managing editor for Just Baseball. Got Jack McMullen here, another one of our editors. And this is, I think, the most interesting team in this division at the deadline. What do the Mariners do? A 2-decade playoff drought. Last year was almost the year. This year feels like the year. They have a new superstar in Julio Rodriguez, who I think in a year or two could be top 5 in baseball, top 3 in baseball. The guy is uber talented. You're going to be building around him. I think the idea at this deadline is get a piece, not just for this season, but to fit this window to win now. And it starts with starting pitching. There's a lot of top arms out there, and it would be great if they could land one of them.
Yeah, and we can ooh and ah over Julio all day. Just know that Julio is one of the most dynamic superstars in baseball, and he is about 100 games into his major league career. So J-Rod is a great building block. You've got so much talent that has just broken into Major League Baseball this year in different roles. George Kirby looks like he can be a starter for you for the next 6 years. Matt Brash, he looked like a disgusting starter. He might be a disgusting reliever. He might be the closer of the future for the Seattle Mariners. And then you've got more coming. You've got Emerson Hancock coming on the mound. You've got Noelvi Marte coming at short. There's so much talent. This was the best system in baseball. Use it to your advantage because you are better than I think you would have thought 2 months ago because everybody has turned it on. I really like what Aram Layton, who is another editor at Just Baseball, and he wrote this outlook on the Mariners trade deadline, did with the starting pitch. He thinks that they could be adding there. And naturally, you look to the top arms. You look to Castillo, you look to Montes, and now you look to Pablo Lopez. I think Lopez would make some sense, but Aram threw out a really interesting name here. Tarek Skubal is apparently being floated by the Tigers. Al Avila willing to listen to phone calls made about Tarek Skubal, according to Ken Rosenthal. Skubal is a scary name, in my opinion, because everything you're worried about with Robbie Ray, and Robbie Ray has been awesome over the last month or two. Everything you're worried about with him has to do with the command. If Ray walks 4 guys and allows 2 big hits, it's a 6-run outing. That's what's happened to Skubal recently. He's lost command. I would stay away from Skubal. I would go get the proven guy on top of a young stable of arms. I'm thinking Pablo Lopez makes perfect sense with the Seattle Mariners.
What's great about him is, he wouldn't necessarily be their ace. Obviously Robbie Ray is still supposed to be that guy, but to me, it's as solid of a number 2 as you get. And sometimes a really good number 2 can be your ace, and it's fine because he's going to take the ball every 5th day, and he's going to give you 6 quality innings most times out. I like him a lot on this team. And, Arm also talks about getting a super utility bat to kind of accent this roster, mentions Brandon Drury, also with Merrifield, who I think Arm is really high on moving somewhere and kind of that change of scenery, maybe going to a winning environment, getting out of Kaufman. He can kind of rediscover some of that all-star form. I like him on this team a lot too.
Yeah, I like him, and I think I like him as an option more than I like Drury. Because Whit Merrifield, I think, is a bit more serviceable in the outfield than Drury is, and I think that they could use some help in the outfield considering how battered the outfield has been at points so far this year. The infield could help, but, you don't necessarily need somebody holding down the everyday second base job or the everyday third base job. I think if you can move Whit Merrifield around, listen, his speed is not dipped. He is still fast. He still steals bases like nobody's business. Whit Merrifield is the best base stealer in baseball. He's so cerebral. And while he's not the fastest in sprint speed, he is the fastest up in his dome. So I think that Whit Merrifield would be a great fit for Seattle here. He gives them more dynamic tools. And that's what this team is littered with. Julio Rodriguez. You look at, other guys, Kyle Lewis. You look at some of the young pieces that they have offensively. Whit Merrifield fits in perfectly.
And the cost is what I love about Whit Merrifield. He's not going to cost. If you go all in and get Lopez, you can get Merrifield at a discount, and you can still maybe add to the bullpen, which is another thing that Aaron mentions here. Daniel Bard, Scott Barlow. There's a million names out there. Grab a reliever. Get a guy that can lock down some games for you as another closing option. Who are they still running out there? Is it still Castillo?
I think it might still be Castillo, although I think Castillo is hurt at the moment.
Yeah, they don't have that legitimate closer, and so Daniel Bard's been handling it over in Colorado. I think he wouldn't mind leaving that ballpark, going somewhere a little more friendly for him. I think that this is a team that if they make the right 2 or 3 moves here, they're a legitimate threat here. I don't know if they're going to make a deep playoff run, but they don't have to. They just got to get to the dance, and it's an overwhelming win for this fan base.
I think so. I mean, if you add Pablo Lopez, let's say they add Lopez, let's say they add Whit Merrifield, and you want to add Daniel Bard to him. Let's look at the rotation now. Robbie Ray, Pablo Lopez. How about Logan Gilbert and his 2.8 ERA? And then you've got Marco Gonzalez, Chris Flexen, and George Kirby as the 4, 5, and 6. In the bullpen, add Bard. You've got Bard, Paul Sewald, who's functioning as the closer with Castillo out. Penn Murphy's been great. Andres Munoz is back there, and then you can add Brash as well. And then you add a guy like Whit Merrifield. Raleigh's your catcher. Ty France at first. Frazier at second with Merrifield spelling him. J.P. Crawford at short. Suarez at third. Winker in left. J-Rod in center. Maybe Merrifield in right for the most part. And Toro as the DH. That team can be really, really exciting come the postseason.
It can. And like I just said, you get that team to the dance, you get them to win a wild card round, and it's the best team in the last 2 decades. I mean, you got to do it.
Tonight.
That's right. That is our outlook on the Seattle Mariners. Make sure you're tuning into all 30 of our outlooks on our YouTube channel, State of the Division, also the podcast feed at State of the Division, and all of the write-ups at justbaseball.com.